I don't start planning my year in January. I don't start planning it in December. October is when I end the year. That's how I live my life. I follow that Jewish calendar too. So I have 3 months advantage. By December, as the prayer and prophecy is finished, I'm already running because the crusade have been set, venues have been booked, trainings have been, things have been set. You don't live life without plan and achieve anything serious in life.
Welcome to Dominion Mandate, a platform where we awaken a deep hunger for the pursuit of God and equip believers to dominate their world for Christ. Here, we dive into the Word of God, explore timeless truths, and ignite a passion for spiritual growth, purpose, and kingdom influence. This is not just another channel, it's a movement.
There is such a thing as clarifying your vision and then setting goals to go from the dream to planning in such a way that you can start living that future now. Christian life requires self-cancellation. Self is the reason many are useless in the hand of God. Self-ambition, whatever. So Jesus Christ gave up his life for you so that you can live his life for him. That life you have been living, and he gave it to you at the prime of his youth. He didn't give it to you when he has finished enjoying, then 98, you now say, okay, I want to die for the world. That's why the Bible said he was cut off from the land of the living because of the transgression of my people. He sacrificed his life. He said, who shall declare his generation? But the Bible later answered it. He said, a seed will serve him, and that seed will be accounted to him for a generation. He gave his life so that you can now live that life he was supposed to live and embrace the mission he came to bring to the world. But what we have done now, we have given our life to Christ, but we have not given it. We have collected his life, but we are not living for him. You think living for him is going to church and all that? No, there is a mission that brought him here. It's the state of the world, the state of the nations. I always warn people in this training. I said, vision comes first. If you finish collecting the how, the technology, the skills, and you don't get the why, the purpose of this thing, the thing will still turn to sand in your hand. This thing is to launch you into ministry. Stop being afraid of ministry. You are the answer to the world problems now. Stop looking for somebody to rise up. You are the person. So Benjamin Franklin developed a system for planning his life and achieving God. They said he's the most accomplished man since the time of Paul that ever lived. When you read it, you will see there is nothing. He was a statesman, he was a publisher, he was a writer, like he was into everything. The man did so much. He said he accomplished what takes 3 lives to do. But there are systems that he discovered that helped him maximize his time, achieve a lot of God, improve his character, improve his personal life, and all of that. Remember what we said here. Knowledge is very powerful, but when compared with character, character is superior. That doesn't mean that the man that has character will be ignorant and succeed. No. But I mean that everyone that has knowledge develops character, that combined will take him far much further than knowledge could. You can see the weight he adds is 40%. But then we'll get to environment. African environment is still very highly underdeveloped. A lot of things, so many places like here, Nepal is now. How do you deal? There is a technology for controlling your environment so that it does not limit your potential. Environment carries heavy weight. You can see 50%. You probably heard what she was saying, how Regency helped her to understand the system, because part of environment is system. Part of environment is prevailing law and regulations in any institution or land where you are. Part of the environment is culture. Part of the environment is association. Some people, that's what defeats them. They get into the wrong crowd. Environment is stronger than character unless you have the knowledge on how to control it. Knowledge is seed. Anytime Jesus refers to knowledge in the Bible, he calls it seed. The sower sows. But then he gave a parable to show that the ground is stronger than the seed. That if the seed is put in the wrong ground where there are tares, or the wrong ground that is hard until, that seed, the potential of the seed will be crippled. It will not produce. So we see that environment is stronger. A person can gain all the knowledge and be crippled by his environment because he didn't gain knowledge on how to handle it. The Jews, the nation of Israel, is located in a desert. They said for 2,000 years after they were sacked from the promised land till 1948 when they came back, that land refused to produce anything. The people that took over, the Arabs, gained nothing except to go and mount that their rock, that their stone at the Temple Mount. Nothing. They said the land produced nothing for them. Now, right now, Israel is exporting food to US and to many other countries in the world. And so the moment the Jewish people came back to it, because Biblically, they used to call that the land that eats up its inhabitants. But God told them, when you go, it will be a land flowing with what? Milk. That land is one of the most powerful land. Now, I wanted to know, how do you discipline a desert to begin to yield purpose? One of my exposures, you will see, like here now, they can create a farm here, even with this floor that you have here. The Jews don't have to have soil or farmland the way you know it to create farm here. And when they get a farmland, they create first level, second level, third level. These are farms. So you will see tomatoes, you see cabbages growing on, what is that thing called? System. Everyone says system. One of the key to dominating your environment is building systems. We'll talk about it. You know how to build and deploy systems. Let me give you an example. Let's talk about dominating distance. The distance from here to Great Britain is the same. It doesn't change. But if you use the natural things that God gave you, your 2 legs, to go there, this year will end, you are not yet there. Next year will end, and you're not yet there. And we may end up picking your body as Sahara Desert, dead, your skeleton. You know how we used to go to Africa? We first go down to South Africa with ship and turn at the Cape, and then start and go all the way to North Africa. And when we get there, we then join the Mediterranean Sea, cross it, and then we start heading to Europe. You get to Rome, Italy, Spain, and finally, if it's UK, you are going. By the time you get there, if it's a letter you wrote to your mother, or maybe it's your mother in the village that wrote to you, you are in London, and the woman is dying of sickness, and he just wants 20 pounds, 200 pounds from you to get treatment. The letter you wrote in January will get to the woman around November. And then you will now reply, sending the 100 pounds. The 100 pounds will get back to her by the November of the other, by whatever of the other year. But by the time your letter is getting, Mama, how are you doing? I replied, I've sent you. She had been buried. The ground where they even buried her had dried. But guess what? You sit down now in an aircraft, watch movie, drink tea, relax, go to the toilet, sleep, wake up 6 hours in London. What used to take months, the distance has not changed. What changed gave us leverage, ability to conquer it, is system. They have constructed transport system that goes through the air. Africa, this is where the issue, the rubber, the tire meets the road now. It's the same thing. It has to do with health. It applies to finances. It applies to church. It applies to all kinds of things. Even to the area of managing your personal home and affairs. But tonight, let's tackle clarification of vision. Let me see if I can do it fast. First of all, I'm sure you know that there's this 5 law basically about goal setting, and I want to just rehearse it in case somebody here is not aware of it. You know the smart goal technology, because vision must be broken down into goals, and I will show you how to do it in a few minutes. It must be broken down into goals to the point that it finally has to get to daily routine if it will ever happen. And there are 7 stages of breaking it down. I will show you what it is in a minute. But let me just get this off. You know the smart goal setting technology or technique. S there means that the goal must be specific. And here we talk about not just that it be specific, you also have to express it in numbers. Mathematics is the science of precision. It gives you ability to measure something. It must be specific, unless you won't know when you achieve it. We are going to win the world. That's nonsense. I'm going for 100 million souls, so I will be able to calculate when we get there. Number 2, smart. We're talking about smart. M there is, it must be measurable. You see, that's what I'm talking about. You have to use numbers, and you also have to set milestones that will help you to track it as you're going. So goal statement answer questions like how much, how many, how will I know when I achieve my goal. That's, you have to have, milestones. You don't just set when I get to the finishing line I know. No, there has to be, so that at this point we are here. Okay, we have reached 10,000. At this point, this is where we are. At this point, this is where we are. We'll get to that. Number 3, smart, SMA, is it must be agreed upon. It must be agreed upon, meaning that even if you got it from God, you have to sit down with your team and discuss it and get their consent. What we used to put here is that it must be achievable. You can still use that old way of expressing A, but there's a better way, because nobody fulfills his vision alone. You're going to work with people, so you have to sit down with them and discuss it and get them to own it and achieve ownership. That way the realization, you will get there faster. For example, in developmental programs, maybe NGOs or social, sometimes people just bring in a program to a village without consulting the people. But when you get the stakeholders and the people there, discuss, find out what they become part, they own the program. So you won't go and set up pipe bomb, they'll go and destroy, the youth will go and rip off the holes, because they see it as their own thing, not this NGO drop that thing, let's go and loot it. No. You won't have the people in the team undermining the same thing. Okay, the fourth arrow is that it must be realistic. The goal should be stretching. It shouldn't be what people can easily do. It should be a little above there, but it should also be what can be achieved. Also, it should be relevant to the people it's meant for. It should also be relevant to you. It should connect with your destiny, your passion. It must be realistic. That means the actions that we need to take to achieve it is something I can do. Don't go and say high jump beyond what you can. Then you try, you can't. That's why also you have to learn how to break things down. If the jump is to jump from here to that end of the world, break it into a number of steps. It might be 20 jumps that will get me there. It might be 15. So you do it like that, and those are the milestones. You set smaller goals under the big goals. You break the big goals into smaller goals. Okay, and then it must be time bound. It must have a deadline. Don't set goals without time. This is the time we must achieve it. And when you break it down into smaller group, this is also the time when this must have been accomplished. If you remove the element of time, you can flow forever and be wasting time, and your life will just be floating. That's why year in, people realize that they have not achieved anything. Whenever you hear me say, you can never find me in 90 days marking time, it's because I drive my life with goals. Okay, that's smart. That's smart. But we have now created what is called smarter goal principles. So I'm going to add the 2 elements more to make it smarter. Smart is good. You can work with it and you will get your goals achieved. But there is smarter. The E, when you now do smarter goal approach, the E is it must be ethical. Your goal must sit comfortably within your moral compass. That you want to achieve something doesn't mean you should now go through the wrong way to achieve it. For example, let's assume you have a financial goal of creating wealth and achieving a goal of 100 million or whatever. Does that mean you should not go and break through the bank? After all, you can go gather a gang and rob a bank and achieve it the next week. Does that mean now you should now become an Abuja babe and be sleeping around with every politician? You see? You see why we say smarter? Your goal must not compromise your higher values. Your values. And 7, the last part is that it must be resourced. Resourced. You will need to commit time, money, information, maybe even studies, research, and then of course manpower to achieve it. You will need to make sacrifices to achieve that goal. So if you set a goal that you're not willing to make sacrifices for, you will not accomplish it. You see what the girl was saying? She kept working and she was saving. That's why people in America are busy buying things, doing all that. Now she can afford to go and buy whatever she wants, but she had something she wanted to accomplish. And working in TBN, she was saving her money. If she did not practice frugality, curtail your expenses so that you can save money to be able to get into the school, God will give her the admission, but she will not be admitted. So there's grace working with principles to achieve your destiny. It's not just God alone. There is a part you have to play. And by the time she got in, it was exactly $6,000, and that's exactly how much she saved. That's exactly how much the school wanted. But that was able to lead her to start, whether it's the first academic year or semester. And then she had to get another job working in the library to be able to. And in the course of that, you see how Grace now intervened with the scholarship. It must be resourced. It must be resourced. So people who now take time to also think about, how many people do I need to get this job done? We want to reach this city. We want to start an NGO to affect the youth. I need some people to work with. We might need a venue. This might be part of the resources. We might need to create a website. Do we really need money for this starting? Or if we do, how much? How many times in a week are we going to be meeting? How much time will it require? And then the leaders will need to be meeting to further what. And when you plan like that, you can take a hold of that future you've been talking about and start driving towards it. In resource, in goal setting, in clarifying vision, you have to ask questions like, what do we need? But the first question is not really what do we need, it's what do we have? But you can also start with what do we need, whichever one. If you ask the question of need, you ask the question of resource that is present, what do we have? Then you ask the question, how do we balance the gap? You need venue, we need equipment, what do we have? You look inside first, you start from yourself. You are your number one resource. Then how do we balance the gap? How do we get what is missing? I need 3 people to help me teach this program. I'm one person, a resource person. I need somebody who understands this area and somebody who understands this area, because we're going to deal with poverty. But me, I can deal with changing the mindset, because poverty does not start with wealth creation. It starts with the mind, changing the mindset, giving the people healthy self-esteem, helping them to get a vision. That's my part. But I need somebody who can teach entrepreneurship and teach them how to create jobs and do things. And then I need another person who will teach financial management. Just 3 people is what I need. What do we have? I have myself. And there's this my friend. She's good with this entrepreneurial thing. So when she just walks in, I'm going to get her now to join me, and I'll share the vision. We need to do something about this community. We need to do something about the youths. When 2 of you answer brainstorming, 2 of you will find where the other 3rd person is. There's always provision for the vision. We just need to learn how to plan those materials, because you need to keep doing some of these exercises. And every year you review your purpose, you review your life goals and vision. But every 2 weeks you review your annual goals. We will come to that. One of the source of failure in Africa is planlessness. We don't plan. We don't sit down to plan. We don't plan development. We don't plan ministries. We don't plan our lives. We don't. So I don't start planning my year in January. I don't start planning it in December. October is when I end the year. That's how I live my life. I follow that Jewish calendar too. So I have 3 months advantage. By December, as the prayer and prophetic is finished, I'm already running, because the crusade have been set, venues have been booked, trainings have been, things have been set. You don't live life without plan and achieve anything serious in life. It's good to have a vision. It's the number one thing. That is your destination, a picture of your future. But a plan is a roadmap from where you are to that place. You have to plan from that vision to where you are now, and you have to plan from where you are now to that destination. It's like constructing a bridge across the river to take you to where you are going. That's what a plan is. Then a system is the vehicle that will carry you to that destination. So if you have a system, you will get there fast and achieve it. If you don't, you will be dragging. So this is how you plan your life. Number 1, there are 7 stages. The first thing is your governing life values. That's the first thing you sort out. You have to sit down and write them down. But after you leave here, within the next 30 days, take a day 2 and go on a retreat and clarify it well. Because some of the ones you give us here might not be fully done. Because all the things we have taught you now, if there's nothing to channel it into, there's no, you just go back and return to your normal life. So the first thing when you want to plan your life is to clearly come out with your governing values. Let me give you an example. When Joshua was 6 months, Pastor Sarah needed to go and get a master's in something, and she needed to go to UK. We had agreed that she was going to do it, but we needed to wait for the baby. When the baby was 6 months, I told her, I said, you have to go, because I want to see you with this thing in the next 1 year, this master's in this. I said, Pastor, no way. This baby is 6 months. I cannot leave this baby with my mom. Why? Because one of her governing values is family. One of the core values is value for family. So because of that, somebody can throw away a whole life. If you don't have values, governing principles, you can pursue goals. Like when we're talking about ethical, that you have to have some things you don't do, some things that you count very important. For example, someone like me now, family is one of it, but even at the top, it's my walk with God and the call of God on my life, the pursuit of the expansion of the kingdom of God, and a number of things, living a life that is above reproach, such things. Then also cultivating a very healthy and good family, those things. So when I want to set goals, I have to put those things, they are compass that guide me. A girl that was a bank manager, sold off everything, sold her properties in VI to go to. I said, why did you come here? He said, $. there's purpose. There's a difference between being purpose driven and being dollar driven. Governing life values. What are those things that are very important? What are those core things? Sit down and write them down so you can have a compass, because goal is not the starting point for life. Number 2, the second compass that must be there before we start goals is your purpose in life. What is it that you believe God has called you to do? You have to sit down and write it. And while you are here, you have to start writing those things. What is that thing? What do you believe? Maybe it's 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's just one. What is that thing you believe you are giving birth to accomplish? What is your assignment? What is the reason you are born? What is that problem you are created to solve? What is that burden God has placed in your heart that He wants you to do something about? What is that? Sit down and write it out. Now, purpose must be clear. These first two are the compass for life before you start setting goals. Because you can use goal and send yourself away from your destiny. You can set goal and send yourself away. If I don't have this thing, it's been long they will have removed me from Africa. At the time I was leaving school, after pioneering this NCFO and fellowships everywhere, and then we are talking about the next level, which is going to town, starting Dominion City churches and all that. I went for a conference in Benin or in Hausa, and here was Ora Robert, and he was giving scholarships, and then it was also helping some people who want to live through the Hausa ministry. They have this partnership who want to. And that night, I wanted to rush to the office to go and collect the form and fill and get myself over there. On my way to the Hausa service, I asked myself, is God the type of person that He says one thing tomorrow, He changes it next tomorrow? God is not like us, that is like weather flowing around. God is consistent with. He can clarify things further. Vision can get brighter. The picture can get better. But God is not about today He's like this, tomorrow. He said there is no variableness, any shadow of turning in Him. He's a consistent person. Where did this confusion come now? Because you think America is heaven. You want to go and live there. On that road, I remember, you just left school. They posted you to Sokoto to go and serve. But God told you that this is your next. Go back and face your assignments. And He said, I will finally make America your backyard. It's the way you place value on US visa that is turning your head. Listen to about me. I use my Nigerian passport. There is no nation that can reject me visa. It doesn't exist. And one of the things they always see at the embassy point, how many days are you stay? 3 days, 5 days. They look at me. They say, what do you do? I say, I do national transformation. I'm going to your country because I have things to offer your nations. If you check my bag, you won't see anything. The only thing you will see books. I'm African, but I'm writing books now. The Americans are scattering it like. I was showing them. I said, is he not a man that lived in your country? But you people don't know how he lives anymore. You see how they are all rushing? You see, I'm saying, research. I do 12 research every year. I will also be honest. Sometimes 1 or 2 might not be completed. So I'm looking for the raw materials anywhere I find it. God has blessed me with the gift of understanding. So what I need is the raw material is feed information. Then I process advanced knowledge from that. But if I don't study, I can't think at that next level. I have to ignite my mind first. Your life purpose, your life mission must be clearly written. You have to. You see the way we have been living, just clapping, going to church. Life is lived by design. It's not by chance. That's what we're studying today, this morning.